morning, everyone, and happy Thursday to you. I'm uploading a video now from Tuesday and Wednesday, and you'll see at the very end of the video, if you watched it the whole way through, that I kind of ended it rather quickly. Like, I didn't finish showing you Wednesday's dinner. I just showed you putting my meat in the pan, and then it just stopped. And then I explained that it was a bad night, and I would explain, and that I would explain why in the next video I do. So that's what I'm doing now. So if you are new to my channel and you have not watched from the very beginning, just a quick history. I've been a career woman. I stayed home to raise my babies, and then when I was 30 I went back to school and got my post-high school degree. I got an associate's degree in travel and tourism, and I have been working in the travel industry since then. I did that when I was 30. I'm now getting ready to turn 47 next month. So I've worked for the hotel industry as a catering sales coordinator, and then from there I went to Liberty Travel as a travel agent, and to Krause Travel as a travel agent, and then I finished up the last few years with what was U.S. Airways, what is now American Airlines. And the reason I quit working was kind of twofold. I was having some health issues at the time, and I was going to require surgery, and I've been through multiple surgeries in the course of my life for female issues. It's just been an unhealthy area for me since I hit puberty. So I knew this was going to be a big one, and they were throwing the big C word around, cancer, because I had malignant tumors, one the size of a baseball, growing inside of me. So I knew I was going to need another surgery, plus at the same time they found this, they also found a lump in one of my lungs. And working for an airline, you know, it's a 7-day-a-week job, and I had no weekends off. My husband and I didn't have one day off together. My weekends at that point, we did shift bids. It was a union company, so your 2 days in a row off changed all the time. Because of my seniority level, I never would have gotten a weekend day off. So when I left, I think my weekends were Tuesday, Wednesday. And my husband, of course, has the standard Saturday, Sunday off. So between the medical issues and the fact that my husband and I didn't have one day off together ever, we decided it was time for me to step down, and I would be a stay-at-home wife again. So I'm a stay-at-home mom, because my kids, again, if you're new to my channel, my kids both graduated college, and they both live in Tampa, Florida, and I'm here in Pennsylvania. So I'm no longer a stay-at-home mommy here, except to the dogs, if you can call that stay-at-home mom. But I'm a stay-at-home wife now with my husband. And that's where my struggle begins. I started this channel and invited women to follow me on my journey of trying to live on one income again, which is difficult in itself in today's economy, and I'll admit I struggle with having to sacrifice certain things. There are things I did give up when I decided to stay home, but there are certain things I just won't give up, and it can create a financial hardship. The journey was also going to be me adjusting to not working, and the things we as women face as we age with our bodies and our mental health. And so that was why I started the channel. That was back in November or December, I think, somewhere around there, end of November, because I know, like, one of my first videos I had Christmas decorations up, and I put those up Thanksgiving weekend. So right around that time frame is when I started it. I've been struggling off and on over the last, well, ever since I recovered from my surgery. I had the surgery in March. I was declared cancer-free because none of the cancer cells had spread to any other organs in my body. They were all contained in these giant tumors. And the nodule in my lung, we're just monitoring at the moment. If it starts to grow, then they're going to have to go in and take it out. But right now, it hasn't grown. From December to June, it has stayed the same size, which is 11 millimeters. So it's still a significant size. You know, it's a decent size, probably like the end of my thumb. It's still a decent sized lump, but if it's not growing, they're not going to touch it. So right around the time I was given a clean bill of health, so June, clean bill of health for now, I've been struggling with not working. Sorry for the dump truck noise outside. The church across the street is adding on, and there's dump trucks constantly. And my windows are open because the weather is finally broke here. I'm freezing right now. It's like 60-some degrees in the house. It's 64 outside, but I have my windows open, airing the house out, and I digress constantly. Can you stay on topic, Michelle? Okay, so last night, I don't know what set me off, but this has happened a lot, where I feel like I'm missing something. And I was fine yesterday morning, yesterday during the day, but then right around the time I was making dinner, it was like all of a sudden I got this super empty feeling inside of me again. Like I feel like I don't have a purpose. And don't get me wrong, I know being a wife is my #1 purpose. You know, my husband and our relationship comes first and foremost in my life. That's, I believe, is how it should be. You get married, you devote yourself to this person. It doesn't mean you lose who you are, but that relationship needs to be at the top. And I know, even though I'm done raising my kids and they live 1,000 miles away, that I'm still a mom, because they still call me. I know Tia calls me almost every single day to ask me questions. Whether it's about cooking, or like last night she called me from Walmart. Mom, I need to buy a new mattress pad or protector. Which one should I get? Should I get this or should I get that? So I know I'm still needed as a mom. Then I know that's a purpose. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. But I've always been a high achiever, and I'm not, please don't take this the wrong way, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or try to say that I'm this awesome person. I'm no better than anybody else in this world. But high school, 4.2 grade point average out of a 4.0. When I went to college to get my degree in travel and tourism, it was actually a technical school with multiple programs. So besides the travel program, there was culinary, medical assisting, welding, motorcycle repair, HVAC. It was just a ton. It was probably like 12 different programs that all graduated at one time. And you're probably talking like between 400 and 500 students, ages ranging from like 20 to, I don't even know how old the oldest person was. Maybe I was. No, there was probably a few people that were older than me. But anyway, during that college graduation, I was the President's Award recipient, which is the equivalent of the valedictorian of the graduating class. I'm not a dumb person. I know what I'm capable of. When I worked for American Airlines, I was there 2 years, and more than one person had told me I knew more in my 2 years than agents that had been there for 25 years. But it's because I'm so high functioning and such an achiever, and I feel like I have to be perfect or don't try. I don't know if you call that a good personality trait or a personality flaw, but it's just the way I am. So I am now to the point where I'm second guessing staying home. I feel like I'm wasting what God has given me, which is a good brain. And not that staying home is a waste. Again, I'm not, this is going to sound so terrible. I feel like this video is going to come off the wrong way. I am not trying to say that staying at home and being a wife and mother is unimportant, because it is the most important job. But I feel like I personally just need more. I'm empty. I'm lonely. I think that's one of the reasons I started the YouTube thing, is because I have people out there in YouTube land that can at least converse with me a little bit on the internet and comment back and forth. And yes, I have friends, but it's different when you're home all day and your friends are still working. My husband works all day. It's just me and the dog. And then I think along with that is, I was a supervisor at that airline, and I had gotten the approval to transfer anywhere in the country that I wanted to work for that airline. And I accepted a position in Charlotte, North Carolina. My husband and I flew down. We started looking at neighborhoods we wanted to live in. And when we flew home, the day we flew home, and I turned my phone on when the plane landed, that's when my oldest daughter, I got a text from both of my bosses that said, your oldest daughter's transfer had gone through and she would be leaving for Florida, and we already knew the youngest was on her way to Florida. So it stopped me from taking the move to Charlotte, but then it kept me here in Pennsylvania, hoping for a transfer to Florida somewhere. The airport I was working at in Pennsylvania is Harrisburg International, which is rinky-dink tiny, and there's no future there. The agents that are still there are going to be lucky if they have 4 years, because it's such a small airport. American Airlines is going to start subcontracting it out to outside vendors so that they can pay less. So I knew I don't have a future here. I didn't have a future here had I stayed. And my heart is in Florida. My heart is in Florida with my kids. My heart is in Florida because ever since I was a teenager, that's where I wanted to be. Even my mom and I had this conversation when we were in Florida last weekend, and her and I were out doing some shopping for the girls the last day to stock their new apartment. She's like, I don't know where you got your love of Florida and palm trees and everything tropical. My family didn't vacation there when I was a kid. My family never took me there until I was a senior in high school and we went to Disney for the first time. We only went to the local Jersey beaches. So it didn't come from family influences or friend influences, but ever since I went to Florida the first time, when I was 17, I knew that's where I wanted to be. When I land on a plane in Florida, whether it's been in Orlando or in Tampa, I've been to Palm Beach, we've stayed in, I guess that's my areas we've actually stayed overnight in. But I feel like I'm home when I land there. Pennsylvania does not feel like home to me, even though this is where I've lived for 46, almost 47 years. I'm not at home here. I don't like it here. So that doesn't help my mental state either. The fact that I'm unhappy where I'm at, plus feeling like I'm missing out on something. So last night was another crying fest. My poor husband, I don't know how he deals with me sometimes. So Mike's not a go-getter. Mike's a good worker. Mike is an extremely hard worker. For the last 10 years, up until a few months ago, he has been working 70 hours a week for almost 10 years. That's a lot on one body. And he's getting ready to turn 50 in January, and he knows he has to slow down. So he has cut back to 60, but that man does not ever, ever call off sick. He goes to work sick as a dog if he does get sick. He uses strictly vacation time when we take off to do things. So his work ethic is insane. However, he's not adventurous. He's not a risk taker. That's me. We balance each other out. So I've been pushing him more to be the one to go get a job in Florida. I printed off his resume. I'm like, look, we need to tweak this a little bit because the last time we did a resume for him was 11 years ago. So obviously his work information, he's updated the address, everything, he's updated on it. He's scared. He is so scared of just uprooting and moving to another area. But I try to tell him that people do this all the time. This isn't 1960 anymore. Nobody gives companies loyalty anymore, probably because companies aren't giving you shit back. You know, the days of unions and good benefits and good time off and yearly raises, that just doesn't happen anymore. Now companies are closing the doors. They're taking away your benefits to save money. They're not giving you annual raises. The unions are disappearing a little bit out of their own greed, but that's a whole other story. But I was raised in a union household. I've worked union. I'm pro-union. Again, they have their faults, but we're not going to go political here right now. But the companies, again, the unions are falling apart. They're not giving you raises. They're not giving you benefits. Pensions don't even exist anymore. So what do companies, and they're closing the doors and moving overseas. You know, they're closing all the manufacturing here in the United States and sending it to frickin' China and Mexico. Not that there's anything wrong with y'all from China and Mexico, but we need to work here. And corporations and guys at the top are greedy, and it's letting us little people with nothing. So there is no company loyalty anymore because the companies aren't giving you anything to make you remain loyal. So people are job hopping all the time. And they're job hopping across the country if they have to because they need work. My husband's job here is steady. His overtime is unlimited. His pay is pretty decent. A lot of it has to do, though, with the fact that it's unlimited overtime. But his insurance benefits suck with a capital S. They're horrible. No pension. His time off is very limited. Now, he can make his own hours because his overtime is unlimited. The boss, caters to his butt and pretty much lets him do whatever he wants because he knows Mike isn't the type to abuse it. I'm rambling. So Mike feels safe here, and he's scared to take the leap. I'm not. So bottom line, after a bunch of crying and talking last night and talking a little bit again this morning, he's given me the green light to go ahead and look for a job in Florida. If I can find the job I want in Florida, he said he'll just rent a cheap room here. We'll have to split up for a little bit. I'll just go. I'll get an apartment down there, I will start working, and until he lands a job down there, he'll stay here and work where he's safe, and again, just rent a cheap room, but get direct deposit, and I will use some of his money plus my income to get us established down there. It's still difficult because when you're looking at sending a resume to a company that is 1,000 miles away from you, a lot of times you're going to get put at the bottom of the pile because the company doesn't want to interview you if you're not local. So if I get the job first, even if I have to go sleep with the girls and use their address to establish me locally to get the job, then once I have an apartment, he can use that address to get himself an interview down there. So that's going to be our focus. So this weekend's a little hectic with us having plans the next 3 days. So Monday next week, I'm going to have to start working on my resume. Our lease is up here at the end of January. It's currently September 15th. So we have less than 4 months to decide because they're going to send us the renewal papers for here 60 days prior. So end of November, we have to know, what are we doing? Are we renewing here at this apartment for another year? Or are we going to take the plunge? So that's the focus. I'm going to be looking for a job in the Orlando area. Still doing YouTube because now it's like my journey is completely changing, and I kind of like documenting my thoughts, kind of like a video diary. Even if none of y'all watch, at least I can go back and watch. So that's where I'm at. So today, Thursday, yes. Like I said, we're going to a Penn State game tomorrow, or no, Saturday. They're playing Temple University. Penn State is a Big Ten school if you're not here in the United States, so huge football following. The only reason we got tickets is because my husband's nephew's wife is an alumni, and she can't use her tickets this weekend because she had other plans, so we bought them from her. So we are taking another couple with us that we've been friends with for years, and my dad lives right outside of State College. He's actually away for the whole weekend. So we're going to stay at his place Friday night and then get up early Saturday and go in and tailgate before the game, the noon game. And then we'll have to tailgate again after the game's over because the traffic getting in and out of Penn State to go home is terrible. And we're going to be starving till the game is over because I refuse to eat inside the stadium. So to eat breakfast at 8 or 9 o'clock, noon game, sit through 3 or 4 hours of a football game, we're going to be starving again. And Beaver Stadium at Penn State holds over 100,000 people, and it's a sellout game. So it's 101,000 seats plus coaching staff, band, all that kind of stuff. I think the total head count for Beaver Stadium is between 106 and 107,000 people. So needless to say, we're not going to be zooming out of that parking lot to a restaurant to eat. So we're going to tailgate twice. So I've planned 2 meals. My girlfriend is helping with the food, but I have my grocery list done. So right now I'm headed to Dollar Tree and Walmart to get some stuff I need for tailgating. And I'll have to go to Market just for 1 or 2 items in the morning. So I'm prepping food tomorrow. We're leaving tomorrow night. And then this evening I am headed to the York Interstate Fair. I think it's America's oldest fair. It is pretty trashy now. It used to be a totally agricultural fair with all kinds of livestock and farm equipment, and York used to be a huge farming community. So you'd have the contest for the biggest and best vegetables and baked goods and canned goods that people could enter. They still do some of that. The farm equipment's gone. The livestock is limited. They'll still do the produce judging and the baked good and canned good judging. But it's pretty much turned into an inner city, crappy carnival type fair. One of the girls that I used to work with at the airline asked if I wanted to go. I haven't been there in years, but she's single, and she just wanted somebody to hang out at the fair with her to go eat some junk food. So, and Mike has no interest in going, so I said, sure, I'll go along, because, again, I need to get out. So we're going to the fair tonight. So hopefully I'll get some clips of there. I plan to eat junk food. So from the time I weighed myself on Wednesday morning till this morning, I lost 2.2 pounds. So I'll probably gain 5 till I get on the scale tomorrow morning. So I think that's it. I've yapped long enough. So let's go to Walmart.